Welcome back, everybody, to the Tuesday night live show. I suggest podcast as well for those listening later on. So thanks for joining us again. Make sure you smash that like button on the podcast, give us a rating, all that sort of stuff. And as everyone's getting on, bumper show. Sorry about the voice, a bit croaky at the moment, but we'll push through. We'll get it done, and we will basically. So much to talk about tonight. Obviously, a huge amount of upsets on the weekend. Going to talk about that side of things. We're going to talk everything that's in the news at the moment as well. Obviously, there was some coaching blow-ups over the weekend, all that sort of jazz as well. So, really keen. Got the boys along once again. Got Trav, got Jake. So while everyone's coming on board, it normally takes everyone a couple of minutes. So we'll just start. First of all, Trav, how's things, mate? How's your weekend? How's everything?
It was a really nice weekend. The weekend after the cyclone, the week before that, so it was a bit of recovery. The sun was out, so we got to go and do a few things and hang with my girls and enjoyed that. It was really nice. Plus, I got to watch some good footy on the weekend, which was great.
Yeah, definitely. And again, guys, as always, get involved with the comments. Let us know how your week has been. First and foremost, say hello. Let's get the show rolling. Jakey boy, been a couple of days. How's things for you?
Good. Yeah. My whole weekend was awesome. Again until Sunday again. So that's 2 in a row. But the week's gone well so far. Always looking forward to the Tuesday pods. Get on with you guys, chat crap, and do that. So it's good.
For sure. Again, guys, when you're watching, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, make sure you share. Make sure you hit that like button as well. It goes a long way of helping support the page. Spreads it out even further to make sure we get even more listeners on each and every week. And so far, we keep building. So let's continue to do that this week and get even more on and even more engagement. We've got a sponsor sort of announcement. You've probably seen the bottom of this show. Freedom Finance Group is jumping on board. He has jumped on board in the past, gave away that jersey at the start of the year, which was awesome to see. Coming on a bit more of a capacity now, so you'll see Freedom Finance a lot more. There will be a few announcements with him coming up. I was hoping to get that tonight, but unfortunately we just ran out of time for it. So there is stuff to come. There's a bit more in terms of what you guys get being League of Inches community members and basically just followers of the page. Plenty of things there coming in. Just quickly, Trav has used Con and the team before at Freedom Finance. Just anything you want to quickly go over, Trav, before we got Con is letting us know a few things over the next day or so. But just until then, just your own experience.
Oh, look, I'll try and make it as short as I can, but and you put me on the spot because this was not something that I was told I was doing. But so I've got no notes, unfortunately. So this is just straight from the heart, everybody. I've been fortunate enough in my time to buy a few homes, sell a few homes. I've met a few brokers, done all of my work through brokers, stumbled across Con via a Facebook ad. Con is an absolute legend. He was the reason why I was able to buy my dream home, which is my current house that I'm living in now. And he's the reason why I've been able to look into a couple of investment properties and things like that we're helping out with. The best thing about Con is that anytime I ring him, he answers. If I've got advice or anything you want to talk about or that I need to ask, even financially, or if I send him an Excel spreadsheet or something and want to have a chat with some things about other things that are not just finances around mortgages and stuff, he's happy to have a chat and run his eyes over it. He's just a down-to-earth guy. He runs a business, but he's just first and foremost about his people, and he certainly gets that across. So it's about his customer service, his people, not to mention that he does a bloody good job. He's done a wonderful job. He's looked after us. So I'm a little bit biased, but he could be a better broker for anybody, really, and I highly recommend everyone to him.
Yeah, really exciting to see what's to come as well. We're kind of just is he generally wants to help everyone in the League of Inches community. So he generally wants to make sure he can make your lives better, which I think is a bonus. It's why we get these sort of guys on. We don't just get any sponsors on. It has to sort of meet a certain criteria for us and make sure that they can help you guys in some way. And Con definitely will be able to. So really keen. He's going to jump on a live show in the next couple of weeks as well. Have a bit of a chat to you guys a bit more about a certain few things. He's got some nice, basically, specials and that coming out, some promos as well. So basically tune in. You'll see that then. Let's get into it. Let's get into the show. Got a few of the guys and girls starting to jump on now, getting the questions in again, guys. And you've been very slack with this the last few weeks, the winners. There'll be a few of the coolers, thanks to TC Coolers being given out throughout the show, whether it's for just in-depth comments, consistent commenting, questions asked, you name it, we'll give them away. But you got to remember, after the show, if I've told you that you've won, please message the page so that we know. We get the address first and foremost so that I can send that out to you. So just a reminder there, but keep them coming in and I'll get them out. Before we go to the what caught our eye this week, just quickly, we do have our massive Supercoach show tomorrow night, and I promise you now it's going to be huge. So you'll get that. The keen listeners or watchers will probably get it at about 11 o'clock tomorrow night when it finally gets uploaded. The rest of you will get it Thursday morning, as always. There is a few Supercoach questions coming in. Now, we won't get to them right now. I'll star them. What we might do is just answer maybe a couple of them at the end of the show. I know Jake is wanting to delve into the Supercoach side of things after basically beating all of our scores on the weekend. He's very, very proud of himself. So we might actually test him tonight, Trav. We might get him to answer a few of your Supercoach questions at the end of this show. So let us know. Get him in. The man himself, we miss you, brother. He'll be on. Hopefully he's on the show some point throughout the year coming back. But maybe Jesse can put a few questions in Supercoach related for Jake to answer at the end of this show. That'd be some prime time viewing.
Yeah, Joel, hey, it's a good point, though. Eh? He doesn't even have a cooler. So one of our own doesn't even have a cooler. So that's how hard it is to get, guys. So get those questions in.
100%. You better have a good question up your sleeve, Jesse. Jakey boy, what caught your eye this week?
Oh, I'm going to get there before either of you do. The Roosters beating the Panthers. I had to get there. I didn't know if that's what you were going to go with, but had to go with basically they can be beaten. It's doable, by someone that isn't the Eels randomly in a random week, because apparently we can just do that, but doesn't count for any other time. They can be beaten at pretty much full strength. It can be done, So
You've been waiting to say that, haven't you, about the Panthers? Just waiting for them to lose something so you can finally get into them a little bit. It's only round 2. You might have a few more shots at them throughout the year, I'm sure of it. What caught my eye? I'm going next because I can't wait for this one. What caught my eye massively over the weekend was this NRL game getting leaked. The fact that it's actually got a release date and that now it's coming out. I think it's sometime in July. I'm not kidding. I'm literally going to tell work I can't work for a month. And I'm going to be sitting there throughout the day playing this game. Like, how good is this going to be for a rugby league fan? We all know it's probably going to be dog poo. We all know it.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Rugby league game. It's updated, the new lineups and things like that. I'll be so keen on playing it. There'll be some late nights for sure. And just a warning to the missus now. She probably won't see me for a little while once that game gets released, because I am so keen on that. So that's what caught my eye this week, that we've been begging for years, it feels like, and we should finally have got our wish. Trav?
You don't mind if I go off away from NRL, do you?
No, I'll do whatever. It's anything.
What caught my eye? If you are a basketball fan, which I am as well, college basketball at the moment has just hit March Madness, and it is unreal. So the tourney starts in 2 days. So the March tournament, where they start from 64 teams and make their way down to 1. If you get a chance to just watch a little bit of basketball, watch the college boys. It's way better than watching the NBA. Really caught my eye watching that on the weekend. And I mean, I watch it all the time, but love me some college basketball.
Yeah. The other thing that caught my eye, I'm just going to have a double down here, and I think all the fellow dads will understand what I'm saying here. When your kids go to bloody daycare and stuff, how you literally just end up getting whatever they get. Like I've been sick, I reckon, 3 times this year already. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it.
Your son literally got his eyes caught.
Oh, honestly,
terrible.
all right.
That's terrible.
That's terrible. Still a good dad joke, that one.
That's the dad jokes coming out there for sure. All right, now I want to talk about something that's already caught my attention. The fact that so far we've got 5 undefeated teams in the competition and 5 teams that are winless still. So the question I'm going to pose to the boys, and I'm going to post to everyone in the comments, please start getting your comments in. First of all, I'm going to attack the teams that are undefeated. Which team do you think will remain undefeated for the longest? Now, to get a bit of help, we have done our weekly post that we do the next 7 or so games in advance. So if you need to look at that, go ahead, go look at the page while you're watching, see what you think the teams are. So I'll read out the teams who have undefeated so far: the Storm, the Raiders, the Bulldogs, the Knights, and the Rabbitohs. Trav, I'll go to you first for this one. Which team do you think will remain undefeated for the longest?
Yeah, it's a hard question, eh? It's a hard question.
No, it's not. We all know what you want to say.
Sponsor.
Look,
good day.
You have to. Yeah, it's hard to go past the Storm. I think we've got Penrith this weekend at home, so I think if we're going to beat them, we can beat them this weekend with a game at home. And then we play the Dragons, then we've got Manly, and then we've got the Warriors in the next 4, and then we've got the Dolphins. The Manly game concerns me a little bit because it's away, and I've said that all preseason, that Manly game away is a concern because they always, at Brookie, they always turn up. It's always a tough game. I think the last couple of years they've beaten us. If they didn't beat us last year, it was definitely the year before in 23 because I was watching it in my caravan down at Tweed Heads, and they beat us there. So, yeah, I think the Storm will be the longest one, but that's on the preface that they beat Penrith this week, and if they beat Penrith, I think they'll be able to get through.
Jakey boy, what do you think?
Who have the Raiders got? Just tell me who the Raiders have got before I answer this question.
Cowboys, Sharks, Para, Titans. Do you want to know away or at home?
No, I don't care about that as much as you do. See, now that I didn't realize they had Penrith next, the Storm. So I'm going to go the Raiders. I think Penrith get the Storm this week.
Bounce back. The bounce back.
I think bounce back game. They'll get them this week. They're not going to want to win. They're not going to want to lose twice in a row. I don't care that it's at home because they've shown that they don't care where they go and how they can win games. I reckon they'll win that one, and I reckon the Raiders will get over Manly. So Manly will lose 2 in a row.
I'm so wanting to say the Raiders right now. I am so wanting it. I just can't get past that round 1 game for the Storm. I know it was against Eels and it was basically a training run, but I just feel like they're ready to go. I know the bounce back. I'm with you, Jake. I'm very, very tempted to tip Penrith this week. Very, very tempted just on the bounce back alone. And I have a feeling they had almost both eyes on this week's game before last week even kicked off. Hence, they're probably below par performance. They probably know that the Storm are coming for them. They're hurting from last year, and Penrith want to make sure that they know that we're the daddies still. We're the dads. So sit down. But I have to lock in the Storm. It's so close. I think the Raiders are right there. The Raiders away at Manly this weekend. If Turbo and DCE both play, that worries me. I don't know I think the Raiders have been really good the last 2 weeks. I just don't know if they can keep it up consistent. Like this is another huge game for them. They've already had 2 really big games. That's my concern for the Raiders. Now, the opposite end of the scale, we've got 5 teams that are still winless in this competition. So that is the Gold Coast Titans, because they obviously had the bye round 1 and then lost last weekend. The Dragons, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the Eels, who are dead last. Which team do we think will remain winless for the longest? Again, go to that draw that we did put up today. Make things a little bit easier. Jake, I'll go to you this time first.
Can you repeat that list to me, please? Just real quick.
honestly. So
Eels.
Titans, Eels,
Yeah.
Cowboys, Dolphins, Dragons, Titans.
No, none of that. I mean, it's all pretty obvious, but none of them have impressed me. Except I'd say the Titans looked pretty good considering they were versing the Dogs. So I'm gonna go. I don't know who they have next, but I'm gonna go Titans.
Ooh,
You're
they'll
saying,
remain. So they got.
Are you? Hang on a second. Are you saying that they will last the longest to be winless?
No, I thought that. No, I thought the question was who would win. I thought the
No,
question was
who
who would. Oh,
will
okay.
remain
Well,
winless?
well, in that case, Parramatta Eels. Parramatta Eels and the Cowboys. I reckon they'll both win their first game in the same week.
Well,
Ooh.
interesting. So that's a good call. It's an interesting call. So the Eels play at home, or you don't care about that. So let's just go. Eels have the Bulldogs, then Manly, then the Dragons, then the Raiders, then the Tigers in 5. And the Cowboys have the Broncos, the Raiders, Penrith, Rabbitohs, and then a bye.
Hey, and a bye counts as a win. So basically, they're going to win by the time we won't have a win. They'll get one by the bye round. So there you go.
Wow. Oh. It's almost a dead heat at the moment.
Neither of those two teams is going to win a game in the next 5 rounds, I reckon.
Well, I said when the Moses injury happened, I don't think Para will win a game until Moses is back. And that's just been pushed back until like round 10 now. So
round 9
I don't know. I think, unfortunately, it might be my beloved Eels, unfortunately. But yeah, I think the others, they'll have a win up here and there. Trav, I know you want to stick the boot in. Off you go.
Well, I don't particularly enjoy it, but I mean, you've got to go by form. No, I actually
love
don't.
it.
Stop that. I don't. But
Stop it.
To be fair, you've got to, stop it, guys. To be fair, like if you have a look at the draw, the Cowboys draw and the Eels draw are so hard. Like the Cowboys have got to go away to the Broncos. There's no way they're losing. The Broncos are losing this game. They've then got the Raiders at home. And if the Raiders keep the form, they're going to go up to there. But I think really the opportunity for the Cowboys to win is that game against the Raiders, where the Raiders have got to go from Canberra all the way to Townsville. That's a tough game. So I think the Cowboys are more likely to win a game in the next 4 to 5 than Eels do. So therefore, I have to say that the Eels are going to remain winless. When you look at their draw, and they've got the Bulldogs at home, then they've got to go to Brookie and play Manly. Then they've got the Dragons at home, the Raiders at home, and then the Tigers away. And then they have their bye in round 8. And then you're saying, as the news is about Moses coming back round 9. So it comes after the bye. I can't.
Trap. You're wrong.
I can't see.
5 from 5.
I just can't see the Eels winning any of those games. Maybe the game that they win is the Dragons game.
Pipe down, son. Pipe down, son.
Maybe the Dragons game, which is in 3 weeks, whereas the Cowboys have the Raiders in 2 weeks. So I think, that's my thoughts.
We're getting Gutherino'd against the Dragons 100%. That's going to hurt. Keep the comments coming in, guys. Keep it flying in. Keep smashing that like button as well for the video. Help it get out there. Just getting started for the night. Settle in, grab yourself a brewski, and get in those comments and get cracking. Yeah, Jesse just wants to calm down, son. Calm down.
Here you go, Jesse. Be careful.
What I'm going to do now, I'm going to give away the first cooler of the night. Alan Dim, you've been sensational so far tonight. So get yourself, make sure you message the page after the show. Let us know your address and stuff, and we'll get you out the cooler for being in the comments. Keep it going, though. Keep it going. Don't leave us now. Don't leave us now. What I want to talk about now, I'm going to play the game once again, the blind rankings. I haven't even pre-warned him about this one. I didn't want to give Trav any sort of notice. I want to just surprise him. But just
he did really well last time. Dream Buller is the best fullback he's ever seen in his entire life.
Now, play along at home, as always. I know some of you write them all down and then post them in at the end. Do however you want to do it. Off the back of that exciting news about the new Rugby League game, I actually wanted to take this away from Rugby League for a second. So you got, Trav, tonight, the best gaming franchises of all time. So rank this 1 to 5. I know you're a little bit of a gamer yourself. Got a mixture of a few things in here. So let's see where you end up going here. And again, play in the comments, play along at home. First one, Madden.
Three.
Call of Duty.
Oh, see, this is so subjective because you've got to either like sports games or shooting games, or
This is for you. This is how you like it. How do you like it?
So for me, I'll go Call of Duty 4.
Yeah.
FIFA.
5.
Ooh. So far, Madden 3, Call of Duty 4,
You better
FIFA
have
5.
2K there.
Grand Theft Auto.
2. I'm happy with that. So this better be a basketball one, or I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like it's going to be NBA.
WWE 2K.
WWE. Hey, well, at least it's 2K. Oh, no, I'm happy. Oh, look, I'm happy to have. I'll eat that one. I'm happy to have WWE first.
Yeah,
Man,
and it's the 2K. It's the 2K range too. So yeah,
I was gonna say the old SmackDown versus Raw games. Those things were the best.
The bomb.
Yeah.
Those things.
Man.
Oh, those things.
Story mode. Story mode.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. How good was that?
You used to own like all the belts at once.
Yeah.
100%.
No, I'll take that. That's I've done well in that one. I'm pretty happy with that.
So I'll go through it. So you've got WWE 2K at 1. I think that's had name changes throughout the series. Like it's, as you guys said, there's been Raw, SmackDown, all that sort of stuff. There's just a whole thing into one. Grand Theft Auto 2, Madden 3, Call of Duty 4, and then FIFA 5. So love it.
FIFA at 5 because I've only ever played it once. And that was
I knew you'd want the basketball game in there, so I purposely didn't have it in because I knew that would be straight away the one. So I just made sure I didn't give you that option.
You know me too well.
Now let's get into some league. I know you guys sit here waiting for our big opinions on everything in the game. We do not hold back. It's something we pride ourselves on. There's some topics here tonight that would definitely be some good talking points. So again, get in the comments. Make sure we are seeing you in the comments, and you will be featured on the show again. Des Hasler. I'm talking about the Des Hasler mind games here. David Fafita. We sat there watching the game. Titans were getting absolutely rolled. Didn't look pretty at all. Felt like they needed a spark of some sort. And you'd think by about the 20th minute mark, Fafita would jump on and off they go. 30 minutes was gone. 35 minutes are gone. Fafita's still on the bench. Half time's gone. Okay, maybe they'll just do a nice 40-minute stint for Fafita. Back to the halves, back on. 30 minutes to go. He's finally called on his big man in David Fafita, and he's gone on to play 30 minutes of the game. And to be honest, didn't do a whole lot. I don't think he had time to get into the game either, which was a little bit disappointing. But what's doing here, boys? What are we thinking of this? And where it puts, because I listened to a couple of podcasts today on a drive home. I had plenty of time. It was about a 2-hour drive home, but they're already mentioning there could be some rumblings of a bit of a falling out happening there between Des and Fafita. Fafita not living up to the hype. Weird, because I had the chance of getting rid of him throughout last year, and they chose to keep him after he signed with the Roosters. So who knows what to believe there. That's just the media doing media things, getting some clickbaits. But Jake, throw to you first on this one. I was watching it, just scratching the head going, what is going on here? Because to be honest, one other thing I'll add to it, Cleese Haas didn't set the world on fire at all that game. Like, he did nothing. So to have him play as long as he did just made no sense in my opinion. It just felt like a personal vendetta.
Like I said to you sort of on Sunday, I suppose I don't think that Des Hasler is a silly enough coach to not play somebody with that much sort of game-breaking ability in a game like that against the Bulldogs where they were down for a vendetta. I just think that there has to be something else around. And, Jade's got there. He's still injured. I don't know about that, whether that's got any fact about it at all. But if he was still injured, I don't know why they'd even carry him on the bench. You'd rather just rest him until it gets sort of sorted out. Like, it's sort of pointless just having him sit there, isn't it? So, I don't know. The way I see it, I'm sure like there might be those rumblings of a falling out, and maybe there is. I don't know. But if there is, and that's the reason Des didn't play him, that's poor coaching from him. If that is the case, and that is what it is, you can't carry a player like that with that much star power and that much ability to actually open up a game and create and just go, oh, I'm not going to play you because I don't like you or because we're having this falling out. Like, no, you're getting paid to coach and win football games. That's not you're not getting paid to be a prima donna. So I don't know what's going on. I personally don't think that's what it is. I think there's got to be something else. But if it is, that's not good enough.
Trav?
So last week in the Supercoach podcast, I mentioned that like how fear factor, I suppose, is a really good word, to be a non-owner of David Fifita and watch him come on for a 50-minute stint after, or 50 to 60-minute stint after sitting on the bench for the first 20 or 30. And we all went, that's just going to be nuts. And I don't want to be an owner of him. I want to be an owner of him because I'm ready to watch him just explode. And then I sat there watching that game, and it was like literally the old LeBron when he signed with Miami, not 1, not 2, not 3. And I'm sitting there going, not 10, not 20. Where the freaking hell's Fifita? Not 30. Where the hell is he? Oh, it's halftime. Not 40. He's still not here. And I'm like, what are you doing, you fool? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So as Jake said, like, I'm sitting there going, like, this just screams other things. This screams stuff that we haven't heard about. There are obviously rumblings and things inside. Like, I get it. I get that there's talking about, there's potential injury and that we've got to rest him in and all that sort of stuff. But like, Tino just came back from an ACL, right? Less than 12 months. Like, he did pretty much a full preseason. So like, and Tino's just come back and did not 1, not 2, but 3 stints in the game. So like, it doesn't make it. This just to me screams something's wrong. Something's happened. There's rumblings and things inside the organization, and most of the time, rumors and all that happen. But most of the time, this sort of stuff, like, it comes out as true. This sort of stuff, it comes out as true. So there's going to be something. We're going to hear about it soon. And Desi's going to look pretty stupid. Like, I've read all these articles and I've seen his interviews. Like, what made no sense and looks stupid. He's going to look stupider this weekend in a second when I say what I was going to say. But like, it just didn't make sense when he spoke about in his recent article that he goes, just the way the interchanges worked, we just couldn't get him on there. It's freaking David Fifita, man. Like, you'll find a way to get him on there. Like, seriously, like, bench Tino for a little bit longer because he's just come back from an ACL. And if you do that, not one single person in this entire world of watching NRL is going to question that because he's just come back for his first game from an ACL. But you didn't find that. So then you didn't look at anyone. You didn't look at anyone in that list and find a way to get bloody David Fifita on the ground. Like, it just, this makes no sense. Now, Desi's going to look even more stupider on the weekend when he goes and plays a bit with what's going to happen with this weekend. So like, it's just, I don't know. I'm sitting here. Maybe I'm just the simple couch coach warrior, and we've got no idea. We're not paid the millions of dollars as to what's going on there. But what would we know? But this just, this screams just something wrong.
That's why people watch us, mate. They love us being the couch coaches that we are. We're slowly getting better at it. Go, Jake.
I just wanted to add one thing. Is a bit funny because the reason he said he sort of backflipped from the Roosters was, when he said he was going to leave, Tino Fasuamaleaui kind of pulled him aside and kind of went, "Hey,
yes.
Like, I'm pretty disappointed in you, like, in that, because you and I said we're going to win a comp here together. Like, we kind of sort of agreed to that, and then so he's
what we're going to do is basically what the message was. Yep. Yeah,
basically, like, watch this, and then it's interesting because you'd think that Fifita would almost be friggin' begging to get on that field and rip and tear and dominate because he'd want to be, with his brother in arms kind of thing on that field with them. Now that he's back after a year. And even when he did get on, I just don't know that even when he did get on, I don't think that I was that super impressed. But it's probably because of that, having to sit there for 50, 60 minutes and get cold. Like, he's probably sitting there freezing, not freezing as in actually cold, but just.
I feel like this could be a bigger story as we approach throughout the year, David Fifita and the Titans. And just where David Fifita's at with his career, it feels like he's in a bit of a hole, a bit of a lull. And talking also like Origin, for example, he's just become like on the outer massively, it feels like, and Billy wants nothing to do with him, which is huge because when he's on, like that's the big thing with Fifita. Everyone's always talking now about when he's on, which seems to be more not as often as he's not on. So that's a concern in itself. But when he is on, he's one of the most damaging ball running forwards in the competition who should be walking into the Origin side no matter what. So interesting. Like again, like you sort of said, Jake, if the injury thing is true and he's coming back from that and they're trying to bring him in steadily, don't play him at all. What's the point of playing him for a 30-minute half-ass sort of effort? It did nothing for him. And there was a chance there where the Titans were coming back, but he just wasn't doing anything to make an impact. And it was all Tino. Like it was all Tino on the weekend. And it was just, he needed that one extra forward to go along with him. And just, unfortunately, that should have been Fifita and it wasn't. So I just felt there's a bit more to this story as we approach the year, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. So if what I listened to today is true, they even made the big call about him potentially not even being there from next year moving forward, which would be crazy. Then the Titans, why they get him back and promise him the world and stuff when he had the Roosters contract locked down. So see what happens there.
Like the offer was reportedly the offer was $850 to the Roosters, right? And he was going to go there thinking, success. And the Titans pushed their offer up to $1 million. So you're paying a dude $1 million to play 31 minutes.
Yeah, that's not talking about cap management. That is not what you're doing when you're trying to manage your cap for sure. Next up, DCE. Someone has a good relationship with Des Hasler is obviously Daly Cherry Evans. Reportedly, he's asking Manly for a 2-year contract. Now, it's been reported at the moment Manly won't budge on a 1 year. Let's take into account this. He's currently 36. So next year, when he's wanting this new contract from, he's 37. So he's saying he can play until he's at the end of 38, basically, which is a long time. It feels like in the game. I know Cam Smith did it, probably a different player, but to DCE's credit, he's looking very fit. Apparently, he still wins all the fitness drills at Manly. He's still to like this off season as recently, so very fit. No one's questioning that. It was I think it's funny because we're talking about him being this insane player and how fit he is, and then we see it on the weekend where he's backside to go. Now I know that can happen to anyone, but it's sort of it was funny timing where he's trying to say to Manly, I can go another 2 years easily. And then that back sort of did slightly go, and that's an old man injury. That's definitely when you're getting on in your career. So, boys, the first question I guess to you both is: would you go the 2 years for DCE, or would you strictly say to him, mate, I can only go to 1 for you?
2 years. I'd go 2 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why so?
Because I just looked this up. In his at the time 351 NRL games he's played, he has missed 23 due to injury. Yep. 23 out of 351. And that was at the time. This is now, obviously, I understand that. And yes, I understand he'll be 2 years older or whatever. Who cares? He's still running like he was when he was bloody 30. Like he doesn't look any different. He's still directing his team around, and with age comes wisdom. I'd get him in there 100%. I'd keep him for 2 years. And the other reason is, right, you give him 2 years and you could basically guarantee, because you could get any halfback across, or like a lot of halfbacks across, and basically go, hey, this starting halfback spot is going to be up for grabs in exactly 2 years from now. You got 2 years and basically it's yours if you can earn it. So you're going to be able to sign people across and be able to basically say, for the next 2 years, you're going to be mentored by Daly Cherry Evans, one of the best halves of the recent era kind of thing. So I think I'd take him.
Trav, would you give him the 2 years?
If I was Manly, I'd give him 2 years. Yeah, I don't think they do, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this screams to me like the Adam Reynolds type deal with the Rabbitohs, and I did slightly catch a whiff of Big Buzz talking about that in his paper today, but I didn't get to read it all. But and he reminded me of that. and then have a look at what he's now doing up at the Broncos. I just think that there's so many teams out there that would take him. So if you're not going to offer him Manly, you need to tell him, because he's going to get taken. Like, as if the Dolphins won't take him for sure.
Oh, yeah.
As if the Titans wouldn't take him. Like, just to, and
backflip
reunite
on
that.
the backflip.
Yeah, but just go and reunite up there. Like, someone would take him. Like, there's 2 teams there that would 100% take him. You know, could you imagine what a dude like DC could do at Para for 2 years at the end of his career? Like, just to go and mentor and just be that cultural guy alongside Riles, who's trying to make some significant changes as a leader and stuff. Just imagine what he could do there. But yeah, like I would do it. But I mean, I'd be asking him to take a pretty big pay cut. He's now at the end of his career. Like, he's not going to be worth that. But, you know, for him, he's got to do what the likes of a Reynolds did to the Rabbitohs, to the likes of what Gutho has done with Para. You know, if I can get a longer deal and someone wants to pay me, yeah, I'm going to go and take the best deal I can. I'm going to end my career on the best deal that I can. I've given everything to that club. I've done everything I can. I don't owe them anything anymore, and the club doesn't owe me anything anymore. So it's, I'm going to go and look after myself and end my career doing something like that. I have no problems with that and what he wants to do. But a long-winded answer to say, if I was Manly, I would. He's DCE. Like, yeah, even if he doesn't provide the same sort of DCE type stuff that we've come accustomed to, he's been your stalwart for 15 bloody years.
It's an interesting one. I reckon I'd have a conversation with him and say, can you give us 10 weeks? Let's come back to this just before Origin. It was an interesting comment before raised by Jay. And I kind of like where he's going with this. He mentioned if you had an agreement from DCE that he retires immediately from rep footy, give him the 2 years. I don't mind where he's looking at there. He's obviously thinking then put the club first and then we'll back you as well if you want to do that. If he said no, he goes, no, I want to play rep. Like, I can understand a player wanting to play rep football while he can, for sure. But then sort of from a club point of view, you go, well, you're going to be pushing your body that is aging that bit more. I will go you one year, see how you're going, 1 year again. So it's the number wise, the age wise is the one thing I personally can't go past. Like 37 next year, playing till 38. That's old in the NRL. I think I know sports science and that. And
would you have given that if it was Cam Smith?
Yep.
Would you if he was at the same age and he said I wanted 2 more years, would you have given it to him?
Yep. At 36, Cam Smith 36.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 30. Yeah, I'd give it to Cam Smith.
So what's the difference?
Because Cam Smith, DCE isn't on Cam Smith's level.
I understand that, but I'm saying I understand that. I'm not saying they're on the same level. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the difference. You're saying the age and the injuries, like injury possibilities, your reasoning for not. But you said you'd give it to Cam Smith for the same thing, same age, same income, same super contribution, right? like, there's no.
We don't have a sponsor for Super at the moment, so don't go.
Sorry, but there's no difference when it comes to injury chance, right? And that's what you're basically basing this on is a number. You said the age is the reason you wouldn't do it. So what's the difference?
Because everything happens for a reason. Cam Smith didn't show any signs of slowing down. To be honest, he could have gone again. He could have gone literally one more year at the Titans and been probably their player of the year. And that was at 38. DC, I reckon things happen funnily enough for a weird reason. And I reckon this little back thing that he's had is like a little sign of what's to come with him. Just all of a sudden it just might hit him. And I just think if you get yourself locked into this 2-year deal with him, I'd go 2 years. And if it's 1 year is a club option, 100%, you're laughing. You go, yeah, let's sign that for sure. But I don't know if DCE would want to do that. And I just can't compare Cam Smith and DCE.
I'm not
comparing their career.
Yeah, but to be fair, Cam Smith won a premiership and went, yeah, all right. And then also we had Harry Grant and the club just went, yeah, it's time for that. But and Jay Keegan's having a laugh here with that he played in a dinner suit, rarely let himself get hit, yet he led the tackle count often every week. So like he certainly got in and about it. But Yeah, like
Too old.
I was kind of wondering where you were going to go when you were comparing Cam Smith. I think what you're trying to do, I think you just picked the wrong person. But I think the point of what you're trying to
I'm
say
only
is
picking him because he's old enough. Like
that's
he
right,
was the
yeah,
only
which is
person who
where I
reached
was
that
going.
age.
Let me speak, Jake. Let me
Sorry, I'm
speak.
sorry. Very defensive, you know.
The point of where you're going is legit, though. Like the age-wise, you just used the wrong person. I think you're right, and it is a good point. At that age, if you can give it to these guys, but also that they're different players. Like Cam Smith
Yeah.
wasn't a big time by the end. For a large part of his year, he wasn't his career. He wasn't a big time pick the ball up out of the ruck and take a run. DC is can be a runner. He's a setup. He's a halfback. So Cam Smith held himself to where he didn't have and knew what he had to do so he wouldn't get himself hurt, and that's how he managed his career. DC is doing it differently and playing differently in a different role. But your point is correct. Your point is legit and valid.
No, all right,
I agree.
Sorry, I agree. I'm very keen to hear this next talking point. Everyone's thoughts. I'm very, very keen. I have a feeling this one will drive the comments in. I have a feeling you boys will be very strong on this one as well. The NRL, this was slowly just, I felt like, put into the media late last week, I think it was. The NRL banning coaches from publicly bagging the referees. Basically, whenever they're going to their press conferences after the game, they're not allowed to criticize the referees and hold them accountable, things like that. I want to know what you boys think. If you're happy with this, if you think the referee should be protected, think they should be held accountable. You think it's a bit harsh. I'll start off just by saying this. I think if the NRL are making coaches go in the heat of the moment, and we've got another talking point after this about Flanagan, and we've seen his comments. If the NRL are expecting coaches to go in after a heated loss, that multiple decisions didn't go their way, and they're basically handcuffing them to then say to them they can't let the fan, because this is what they're talking to the fans. Like everyone that watches these press conferences are fans of the game. They want to get insights and things like that. I just think the NRL is putting themselves into a bit of a corner there by sort of going, all right, yeah, go out there, go say it. But all we're going to get now is robots. We don't want to hear robots. We keep saying it. We don't want to hear these players be robots. Yeah, it feels like any chance the NRL get of seeing a coach like a Ricky Stewart after. We don't know what Ricky's like. If the Raiders get a bad call soon, we'll know about it. But now they've laid down these big fines, the large fines, and I feel like we're going to lose that. And I don't want to lose that. I like that. I know that in a way, you got to protect the referees, especially like junior footy side. But I just think the NRL is a bit different. Like all the technology and stuff, a lot of the criticism wouldn't even be directed at the ref. It'll be actually directed at the bunker, which I think is a completely different story as well. Trav?
I'm not sure if I'm the right person to ask this. I think I'm starting to feel like I'm a bit indifferent on this. I've gone a couple of ways. Like I've been a pretty heavy criticizer of the referees. I was very critical of the referees last year going into the finals and leading in the finals and what was going on. However, and I think there has to be a way that the platform is allowed for the coaches to answer the questions that the media give them, right? If you're going to ask coaches within an hour to go into a press conference after, a heat of the moment where they got ruined by a decision or something goes wrong during the game or, whatever, you've got to allow them to have a vent. And so there's got to be that opportunity to do that. But we also got to be aware of that this sort of stuff will filter into the rest of the competition, like you're saying, or the rest of the field, Joel. And you'll say, like, in terms of how it goes down into the juniors and how it feeds into all of that. And it does, it will. Let's be realistic. Let's not beat around the bush. You're silly if you don't believe that, these sorts of comments won't filter into junior footy. I have occasionally gone down to the local footy club, the NRL club, and I've watched them. I've watched under eights. I've seen it. I see what people do to these kids who are reffing under eights games and under 10s. It does happen. We criticize this stuff, and it comes because we watch it on TV with that sort of stuff as well. So I think we've got to be very careful with how we do it. Like I said, I'm probably not the right one because I'm indifferent. I think there's got to be a platform for it. I think there's got to be a way. But if we're going to ask the coaches to and scrutinize the coaches and the players, then we've got to be able to have everyone as a level playing field. Like we've literally got to be able to have everyone. But we've got to figure out what that happy medium is. And a press conference within an hour after the game is not the right way to do it.
Yeah, no, sure. And just a reminder, guys, smash that like button, listening to the or watching the video. Help it spread out, more engagement, the better. So please hit that like button there. Jake, you sitting on the fence, or you're a bit indifferent as well? Or you just got a straight out view?
Nah, let the coaches speak. Let them talk smack. Let them get at them. Like, there's been times, and all right, let me clarify this by saying, I don't think that sometimes coaches will blame referees for a loss or something like that, and realistically, it was like one call that didn't go their way or something like that, and it isn't the deciding factor of a game, or maybe it was, but at the same time, there was a million other things that led up to that, or whatever. But there are some clangers, man. There are some games where a referee has clearly lost you that game of football, and that one that your team, was doing the right thing, everything that you taught them. So you've told them to do this, and they've gone through and done what you've asked them to do, and the referee's getting up you for it. Then I think you have the right to question it. And you're right, Trav. It's not the right probably platform to do it is directly after the game in public. But I think the whole point is that they need to get their point across, so that I think their idea is that they want to get their point across so that people can kind of see that and understand where they're coming from. Whereas if they sort of do it behind the scenes, it kind of looks like they're not really advocating for their players a little bit.
Can I just quickly jump in and just quickly give you an example of what you're sort of talking about? And I just want to paint a picture. Remember Vegas, round 1, the Raiders game, and Sebastian and Chris's first try, which the referee actually sent up as no try. He was standing right in front of it. It was clearly put on the line. So I don't know what the referee was watching to start with. Imagine if that wasn't, like, the video for some reason wasn't there or something. And then Ricky Stewart, let's say they lose by 2 points. Ricky Stewart then goes into the presser, and straight away he's probably asked about it. And at the moment with the rules, the NRL are expecting Ricky Stewart, who we all know what he's like, and some people love him for it. Some people get a bit cringy for it. I love him for it. I think it's entertaining. I like when he tees off. We're expecting him to go in if that was to happen and say, "Oh no, well done to the ref. He just he was good." Like, that decision could have cost them the game when he was literally right in front of it, and it was a clear as day try. Yet he went up and sent it as a no try. Like, I think there's got to be a time where we realize this is the NRL, and this is what I always say to the people out there. If I'm watching like a weekend footy, for instance, just down at the park, and you see in the way they carry on, and then they go, "Oh yeah, but I watched the NRL players say this and do that." It is completely different in my opinion. I know there's kids out there that will watch it, but it's up to them, the parents, to make sure that they tell their kids that's not how you treat the local referee who's just played his own game and coming to do a bit of part-time work on the side and refereeing some kids and things like that. This is the NRL. They are highly paid professionals in their field of expertise. They deserve a bit of criticism if they stuff up, in my opinion. And I think that's exactly what they should get. If you don't want the coaches to be giving you their opinions on stuff like this straight after a game, scrap the press conferences. Just completely scrap it, and let's go back about 4 steps in what we're trying to do here and elevate the game. And you've seen rumors today about maybe Netflix and that trying to get on board, things like that. I'm telling you now, if they go to streaming services, the in-depth behind-the-scenes sort of stuff that they'll want to do, that we've already seen them do with the Formula Ones, all these nice basketball docos that they're doing, the NRL will not be able to hide anything. So they'll have a rude shock, and they won't be able to control the narratives like they're trying to do now, and everything will be open slather. Like, you'll just have to. You'll probably end up hearing referees talk about why they made certain decisions and things like that. So I just think they're going down a weird curve that I don't like, and I just think if you're not going to let the coaches talk, then let's just scrap it. There's no point.
Find a better platform. I think the coaches should be able to talk. I think my biggest problem that I've got and my issue with all this is that Abdo's cancelled the Gray and Annesley's weekend review calls. I think that's garbage. And instead of just owning up to the fact that we made mistakes, because how often did we sit there, Joel, last year and go, what the hell? Like, they didn't even own up to it. Like, all we want them to do is just own up to the mistake. Oh, no, they find some rubbish way to justify what it was. Just own up to the mistakes. Half the time, people wouldn't care that much if you just sat there and owned up to it and they didn't. I've got a bigger issue with that rubbish and that being canned than this, to be fair, because I think we can find ways in other platforms to talk about and analyze the referees. I like one of the comments, and it was something that I was talking about as well, that I was thinking about as well, is maybe there needs to be a referee press conference or something like that to talk about it. But yeah, so, I've got a bigger issue with the fact that he stopped that whole analysis of the decisions being made than the coaches being tight-lipped.
Yeah. Now, from the coach's point of view, we actually seen a coach, Shane Flanagan, fire up a bit in his press conference. It wasn't directed at the referees, directed at his own team, directed at his own players and player. So obviously he was getting asked. He was very, very disappointed how they lost that. I still don't know how they ended up finding a way to lose that. I thought about 10 minutes into the second half, it was a guaranteed win for him. And they somehow ended up losing that to a very well-coached, obviously, South Sydney side. Do we like the approach that Shane Flanagan has gone with here? There's been probably, I feel like there's 50-50s at the moment in terms of how people are seeing this, whether they like this sort of approach, whether they don't. It's a very modern day approach, I guess, in terms of people say it doesn't work. Where are we sitting with this, Jake? Do you like that Flanagan approach where he was asked how Ilias's performance was? He didn't really say, like, the thing is, when I keep watching this back, I'm wondering what he actually said. He didn't say much. It was more so what he didn't say that made it basically full on aware that he wasn't happy with Ilias's performance. But he was very scathing in his team's performance. That's the thing that I'm sort of going at here is he basically just put on a show. He said, we've got 10 days off here and I would not want to be part of my team.
Well, I can understand it, I guess, in the sense that everyone said it. There's not a single person that didn't say that the Dragons look like the team that should have won that game. Everyone's going, Dragons had it all over them. They had it all over them all game. And Rabbitohs just sort of stuck in it. And then not only did they stick in it, but the Dragons kind of made crucial handling errors, just kept giving away field position to the bunnies and kind of thing. And we know Shane Flanagan. We know that he is a perfectionist. He wants to win. And not only does he want to win, he knows that he can coach. He can coach teams to win games. And he really wouldn't have been happy with that game management at the end at all. And I can understand that. At the same time, I think saying, I'm going to give them hell for 10 days is a bit, probably maybe a little over the top for probably what they put out, to be honest with you. Like, it's not as if they went out and, they embarrassed themselves. They lost by a point. That being said, I guess, it's his football side. And if he wants to be a bit of a hard ass, then, they're all getting paid enough money to be able to handle it. And he's getting paid enough money to be able to do it. So why not?
Trav, you like the approach?
I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind holding the players accountable like that. I mean, he didn't really single anyone out. I mean, his comment from what I'm aware is says that you wouldn't want to be one of my players for the next 10 to 12 days. That's for sure. But he said it with like a sly sort of smile, a sly sort of face. Like it was kind of like and then he goes, it's not going to be pretty, right? Which is essentially saying, we didn't last long enough and we've got 10 days to go and work on that. You better start getting fit. We're going to go to work. Like, I don't mind it. I have no problems with that. These guys are paid a lot of money, a lot of money. And the clubs invest a lot of money into fitness, physio, doctors, chiros, everything, preseason, all sorts of things, right? They've got to be held accountable when they're not playing. They're professional athletes. They're not juniors. Juniors people are different, and we need to treat them differently. You can't give them a kick in the backside, blah, 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 blah. But these are professional athletes. And yes, okay, emotional intelligence is huge. And the world that we live in is different. But at the end of the day, they are still professional athletes that need to be held accountable. And in a sport like this, to be held accountable, it's dig in, go to work, run hard, do your burpees, do all those sorts of things that are tough work to build, because it's not just about building your platform for a foundation of fitness. That's how you do it. You're building mind over matter. You know, you're building that when the ground is in the crunch and the time is coming down, and someone's got to lay a hard tackle. Someone's got to take that last ditch effort to go and make that hard run. You've got to hold on, and without that, you're not doing it. So yeah, I have no problems with him holding his team accountable. He didn't go out there and say, you know, this person's rubbish, this person didn't turn up, this person's, you know, he didn't do that. He just said basically as a whole, and I read into it as a whole, we weren't fit enough, we didn't last long enough, we weren't hard enough, we're going to go and work on that for the 10 days. That's how I read it. He was just much more brutal about it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. Guys, shortly we'll get into the questions as well. So make sure you start putting some questions in that you want answered live on air. So Super Coach, get a couple of those in for Jakey boy. And then also any sort of NRL questions, anything really. You want to ask everyday life questions, whatever you want to do, wherever you want this show to go for the last 15 minutes or so. Make sure you get your questions in, feature on the show as well. And there's a cooler to be won for the best question as well. But yeah, look, I 100% agree. I think paid athletes, NRL standard quality, they had a chance to ice that game many times. Ilias, like I heard Anastas talk on NRL 360 tonight. For those that aren't aware, he's Ilias's manager. So he's had close contact. Obviously, will have the best for his client, his needs and things like that, which is understandable. You want to make sure you're selling your client to clubs. But in my opinion, like a few comments have said it, they lost a game they should never have lost. So Flanagan has every right, in my opinion, to put a rocket up them. Like they need that. They can't just then go in the sheds and he go, yeah, good work, boys. Like unlucky, we'll get there another time. Like that's not the style that the Dragons want anymore. Let's remember that. They had that with Mary McGregor for years and years and years. And I've spoken to so many Dragons fans who have said Flanagan's the best thing that's happened to that club for a long time, because they need this hard style. They need the coach to come in and just go, this isn't good enough anymore. We cannot be losing these games, because throughout the last few years, they've lost a lot of these games like this. And they could easily at the moment be 1-1 and sitting okay. They now haven't won a game yet. And that pressure starts adding up. If they lose again in 2 weeks' time, that's 3 losses in a row. All of a sudden, your players start hiding and there's no confidence. Like I heard Bray talk about Ilias's confidence has been shot. He's got to work on that. That's not up to the coach to baby him through that either. Like there's ways around it. He had plenty of opportunity. He had a massive chance to go from basically in front on the weekend, that field goal chance, and he chose not to. And that's a halfback's job to do that. So unlucky. Like you've got to get a rocket and go from there. So I'm all for it. I don't mind it. I know there's a few out there that don't like it. I get some people these days, the modern athlete, some of them you have to treat differently, but I think I'm going to trust Shane Flanagan. I think he knows this playing group quite well. He's got a lot of his own sort of plays in there, and they'll see how they go. Question time. I'll go firstly to the ones that have been put into the chats and that we posted about this afternoon. Let me get over to Facebook while I do that. Is there actually? I'll start you off, Jake, while I'm doing that with the first. First of all, Liam, Turbo playing or what, lads? Are we trading? Jakey boy, Turbo playing or trading?
He's named. He's been named at starting, so I'm keeping him personally.
No concern.
I reckon he'll play. I think they just pulled him off because they were just trying to make sure he didn't, and they had a fullback on the bench. So why wouldn't they? I
think I'm very worried personally as a Turbo owner. I'm in two minds, and I'll be talking about this tomorrow night. But I have a very big temptation to sell this week just because I don't want to hold him with a hamstring complaint. Like it's just gives me a bit.
And that's fair. But I'm willing to give him 1 week after the score that he put out, 2 weeks ago. So. Even what he was doing, I know he didn't do incredible, but he still did all right in that game before he done his hamstring.
Yeah, true.
Well, not done his hamstring, not done his hamstring, but you know what I mean.
One more for you, Manxie via YouTube. Hey boys, got the money to move Barnett up to Nathan Cleary with that juicy Panthers draw. Means I miss on Starling cash gen, but save trades. Thoughts? Go on, Mr. Supercoach.
Yeah, all right. I would personally in the sense that I don't know why you haven't started with Nathan Cleary. I don't know why that hasn't happened there, but I think he is just probably every year he's the most must-have player. You should have him. So you know what? If he has a really good draw, and he's probably going to go up a fair bit in price because he's probably going to put on some pretty monster scores eventually in the next few weeks. Get him before he does.
Yep, no, fair enough. Now I'll go this question here. Jessica, after her great questions last week about Trav basically being my bitch, it was really fantastic. I think it's the second week in a row where Trav has that tag. So I'm a bit disappointed, Jess, you haven't mentioned that 2 weeks in a row. I don't know what happened. But yeah, we'll hopefully that comes back.
You weren't as vocal about it, Joel. You weren't as vocal about the fact that you
because I didn't win this week. Jesse actually got me in 30 June.
That's why.
But I'm still up. I'm still leading the rankings, overall rankings. So I'll take that. So why do fans so often jump on the coach sacking bandwagon when a team underperforms? Is it fair to place the blame solely on the coach, or should we be looking deeper at player performance, club culture, and management decisions? Where should the line be drawn between holding a coach accountable and recognizing broader team issues? From my own team point of view, Jess, I think you're spot on. I think there's sometimes where you can blame the coach for everything, and it's not always the coach's fault. There's also things like recruitment and stuff like that where you can blame a coach, but it also needs to be approved from higher up than the coach for like a signing to be made. So there's got to be a number of parties held accountable. Like, for instance, the Eels, they just let go of Gutho, who I still think should offer the club plenty at the moment, and we're crying out for leadership. I think the club has to be held accountable for that decision. I think people go, oh, no, we've got Iongi, though. Like, I'm not just saying he can play fullback. I just think you need to be on the field at the moment, to maybe even a centre, and just have his leadership in that club. That club is screaming out for it. I keep saying, for mine, Moses isn't a captain. I still believe that wholeheartedly. And Gutho is a huge loss. So for mine, I think you're spot on. Like, but then there's the other part where, like the Cowboys, for instance, in my opinion, Todd Payton's lost the dressing room completely. It feels like he's made some ridiculous coaching decisions over the last few weeks alone in terms of his lineup and droppings. And we've just seen this week he's changed his halfback again, which I think is really harsh on Duffy. So that's sort of something where I'll blame the coach for, and I say that's the coach's fault. But I think there's two ways to look at it. I think you're spot on. Trav, you got an answer for Jess?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with it. Like, too often the coaches become the scapegoats, and it's easy to make them the scapegoat. And unfortunately, our coaches say can only go so far. There's only one Bennett. There's only one Bellamy. Like, unfortunately, there's no one else that sort of screams that sort of cultural change and that power and ownership within clubs other than those two. And it's easy to make a coach a scapegoat, and organizations will often not put their hand up and say, I was the one that we haven't done this. We didn't put this person in. We didn't sign this one. We didn't want to sign this one. And it's always put back onto the coach. It's an easy one. I think your example of Todd Payton is really true. You know, he's been there a long time. So it's time to sort of now look at it and go, what actually has gone wrong? Because you've had a pretty good team. Yeah, okay, your results have been okay, but you haven't been able to take it to that next step. I look at it, and this is a bit different, but I'll give another example of anyone that's out there that's watched or that watches or partakes in a bit of basketball and watches the NBA, right? So a long time ago, a coach named Mark Jackson was coaching the Golden State Warriors, right? The year before they won their first championship, they sacked Mark Jackson and brought in Steve Kerr. And Golden State Warriors win the championship the year after and win 4 of them, and make this massive dynasty, right? And the organization went out and said, we really like what Mark Jackson's done, and he set us up, but he's just not our coach to take us to the next level. Sometimes there are decisions like that need to be made, and have a look what happened. But very often, and too often, the coach becomes a big-time scapegoat instead of the players being held accountable. And unfortunately, it's a game when we watch, who are we watching? We're not watching the coaches, unless you're Craig Bellamy, and often every time something goes wrong, they go straight up to the box to see his reaction, and we're watching him. But we're there to watch the players. The players have the power, so not often enough are the players held accountable because they have the power around that, the imbalance is too much. It's a wonderful question, and I think actually we've lost that. Power imbalance, and I think it needs to be put back onto the clubs more often. Needs to be put back on the players more often, which is a problem, and why even this Shane Flanagan discussion is even a question, because he's put it back onto the players to say, no, you guys didn't do this. We had all the structures, we were there, but it's a question because we ask it, because the pressure is put on the coach.
The other part to this, I feel like as well, in mentioning before Jake gives us his response, is it's also for clubs much easier to sack a coach than it is a group of players as well. Like some might be contracted still. It's easier to pay one person out than it is a group. Unfortunately, like that's just the way it is. I think that's what happens a lot. They think it's easier to fix that problem and hope the players turn around and play for a new coach. And we've seen probably from a Parramatta point of view, once again, that early signs so far is there's a large majority of that playing group that just won't. They're done. They're just sitting there. They need to go. They need to leave, and hopefully that's done on rolls. But yeah, that's just a weaker playing group. Jake, got an answer for this one before we move on?
Oh, look, there are times where the coach is made a scapegoat for a poor playing group, but one of the parts of that question was about club culture. The absolute leader of that should be two people. Sorry, there are two people who should be absolutely leading that. Your coach needs to be number one. He needs to absolutely demonstrate anything culture-wise that he's trying to get across to his team. Part two of that needs to be a captain. And who's in charge of picking the captain for a team? The coach, right? So your coach should be putting in a captain. Well, he should be. I see your face there, Trav, but he should be. Your coach should be picking a captain that sort of embodies what he's trying to get the players to sort of do culture-wise, right? Then in the sense of like poor performances, if you can see that it's clearly a lack of effort over a consistent amount of time, coach's fault. But if the effort's there and the systems aren't working, sorry, I meant to say if it's clearly like a lack of sort of effort, that can be the player's fault. But if the systems aren't working, like for example, a lot of the time, it's easy for me to talk about Eels because obviously I follow them last year, and with a lot of Brad's stuff, his wingers like to jam in real hard and just create super easy overlaps on the sides, and that's just a defensive system that he just never ever seemed to ever want to correct. That was just always the style that we played, and it didn't work. But he couldn't recognize that as a coach and just stuck to it, and it never got better. And that's like a coaching fault, if that makes sense. That's just one of those sort of styles of difference. But it can go either way. I think. Yeah, honestly, it can go either way. I think it depends. But a lot of the time, yes, they are sort of made it to be a scapegoat, but they also need to drive that culture.
Yeah. Nah, great question. Really love it. Jess, you're on fire. Absolute fire. Diggs, what other sports do you guys follow? I'm a big ice hockey and baseball guy. To be honest with you, I don't watch any of those. Never have. Just cannot get into the American sports. I've said this before on the podcast. I'm a big F1 guy, actually. Just watched that on the weekend. Back now, getting through the Netflix doco as well for last year, which is awesome. Not really that much else. Like I do watch the cricket when it's on, just because it's the off season, and I just stick it on the TV and chill out. But I'm not hugely passionate for it. I'm massive, like for me personally, because I'm so into and do so much with the page and that now for league, I'm sort of all in for like a 8-9 month period, and even longer after the off season we've just had. So I just sort of anytime I can, I get away. And anytime the F1's on at night time, I just like to chill out and watch the qualifying races and think it's just my getaway. So I'm just a big league guy, as boring as that is, with a bit of F1 thrown in. Trav?
Massive NBA or massive basketball fan. I actually prefer college basketball than the NBA, but I'll watch the NBA. I don't actually like watching the NBL, to be fair. Don't like the quality, the way it's played, the way it's reffed. So I don't really watch the NBL. But yeah, massive American basketball. Love the NFL, as I've got here, and as you can see, my little helmet up there is the Green Bay. So I do love that. I'm also huge on the cricket, but I don't watch the state stuff. I don't watch the Sheffield Shield or anything like that. I watch obviously the Australians all the time, and there's enough international cricket to keep you busy and keep you watching all that. And I really like the AFL as well. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm in a house with 3 girls as well as myself, so I don't. It doesn't go well with my girls. It's constantly a battle for the TV, and Dad generally wins at certain parts of the time. But yeah, they're my big ones.
Jake.
I'm pretty into the soccer, football in Europe. Big Liverpool fan, so
Yes,
love.
That was great to hear from Jake, who was a brilliant member of the podcast while he was around. But that'll be the last we hear of a Liverpool supporter on this podcast.
Oh, look at that! I'm back. Yeah, well, I mean, we were doing so great throughout the season, but we've somehow managed to only really be in a shot at winning the actual Premier League itself, because we've bumped out of two different finals, and we lost the semis against PSG for the Champions League. So we bottled so much. I don't understand. I'm so used to it. And the other thing, I don't follow it because I don't really know where to follow it, but I love the sport itself. Is just volleyball. I'm a massive volleyball guy, like indoor court volleyball, not beach volleyball. I think it's just such an awesome team sport. And when you watch highlights of it, the stuff that they can do is crazy.
Wow. Robert Delaney, what do you think the New South Wales, Queensland / Australia sides be looking like this year? Well, Australia side, don't have to worry about that for a long, long time. We have just started doing our rolling New South Wales and Queensland sides. I'll refrain from talking about it too much yet. We'll probably start to delve into that the next couple of weeks as it starts to get slightly closer. We'll start talking about some of our smokies and things like that. So all I will say at the moment is if Terrell May doesn't play for the Blues, they've got absolute rocks in the head. He, for mine, is a certain player in that 17 at the moment. So any smokies from your Queensland point of view that you want to quickly... do you reckon Jack Howarth's a chance on a centre spot?
Maybe. I was going to say Horsburgh.
Oh, Horsburgh is back in for sure.
He's only played 2 games, mate. He's got half a season to go.
For sure. He's back. So
I would love to see Howarth. Not sure he'll go away from the current centres from last year, but I would love to see Howarth. I think he's better than offering more than what Hammer is.
Yeah. Steve Lumley, should this week's trades be about making money rather than winning head-to-head? So this is a Supercoach question. Yes. Personally, yeah. I think big week coming up, a big week. I think there could be some lower scores than what we've seen so far because people are trying to make some moves. Could be a big moving week as well, rank-wise, because that's I think you got to balance up. Trav, do you have any quick responses for that one, or you want to wait till tomorrow night to do any of your Supercoach talking?
Jake's the Supercoach expert tonight.
That's right. So Jake said yes. So yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, it's the money change week. Got to do it. Big change coming.
Well, it's one of. There's another one next week, which is going to be pretty important with some of those players. But yeah, like
boost weeks.
I mean, it depends on what you're going for. Are you going for overall? Are you going for head-to-head? That's the sort of stuff you need to play in as well. It also depends on what the makeup of your team is. If you've got some guns that haven't worked out, then you've got to look at that. But there's also some cheapies that you've got to get in. So yeah, it depends on the makeup of your team.
Just to clarify, in the comments, Adam Wilson that just made fun of me. He won our comp last year. He was first year into it last year, and he won the comp last year. Our Supercoach league that I created. I won it, I think, the year before, but apparently it doesn't matter, so it's fine. Whatever, it's irrelevant apparently. Yeah.
By the way, guys, I'm not ignoring any comments. I'm just slowly making my way down. I realize there's a lot more comments than I thought. That would be Jay. This is the official Sack Todd Payton podcast, I feel like, at the moment. What round do we think Payton is officially sacked? I'll say round 10. I'm going to lock in round 10. Number, boys?
After, I don't know what the actual round number is, but after Magic Round, just like Brad Arthur, they're going to say he's locked in, he's secure, and then it's going to be, no, he's gone.
Whenever the board say, we back him 100%.
Yeah.
He's gone
100% we back him. Bye-bye the next week.
He's gone the week after. Trav, you got a number?
I reckon it'll be. I think it'll be before Origin. I don't have a specific round. It'll be before Origin.
Yeah, I'm actually more tempted to talk about who replaces him because I don't know, if there's an obvious one at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see that. Hillbilly, anyone got a solid plan to deal with Turbo being a late out? Want to use all my trades elsewhere, but no Turbo will leave me playing someone I don't have full faith in. I'm a bit with you, Hillbilly. I kind of want him to just get ruled out now. Would help me a lot plan a few things in my team. I think for Supercoach side of things, him being out would be huge. I think it would change the game dramatically this year. I'm all for it. So, Seabold, do us all a favor. Do Supercoach a favor. Make it exciting. Rule him out, please.
No, not this week, please. I've got too many other problems I've got to fix. So I need him to stay. I think if he plays, I mean, he'll dominate. It's going to be he's ready to just power through this game.
Shannon McIntyre, thoughts on Francis Molo getting an immediate release due to internal friction in quotation marks for those not listening belatedly. In a high stakes sport where player attitude can make or break a team, is this a justified decision or are the Dragons sending the wrong message to their squad? Tough one because he clearly made it obvious he didn't want to be there. So in my opinion, that probably could make an impact on the team more than anything. So I feel like in a way the Dragons had to act on it. I don't like the fact that Francis basically just was so adamant on getting released. I don't like that. But I like the way the Dragons have dealt with it. They did stay pretty firm originally, and then I think it got to the point where they thought, for the club point of view, for the players, like you sort of mentioned, it's best just let him go. And the funny thing is, I thought about this today. It's like the media talking about this as if he's a top 5 prop in the game. It's not to be disrespectful, but he's very far down the order rankings when it comes to a forward. So,
yeah.
And I feel like after, sorry, Trey.
No, go.
I feel like after all that drama and stuff, no club's going to want him. No club's going to want a player that does that, like that sort of crap. And if they do get him, they're going to get him on some cheap train and trial or some crappy deal.
You have to have something.
Yeah. He has to have, surely, but
his brother's still there. That's the thing.
They have unlimited money.
It's an odd play. Trav?
What I don't want to get to is a position in Australian sports where it's like America, where when a player says, no, I don't want to play, they just sit out and then they sit and they sit and they sit and they force the club to go and make a trade and then they get traded and then their value of the trade is minimal. And I think that sucks. I don't like that. I think Shannon makes a really good point, and I think that the Dragons potentially are opening up a can of worms here on if a player sits there and says, I'm not happy for whatever reason, they sit out. What I think needs to happen is, and confirm this for me, please, boys, is did he still get paid? Was he still being paid?
No, they said they weren't going to pay him for, it was like after a certain date, they basically went, we're not paying you because you're not coming to trainings. We're not paying you for something you're not doing.
That's brilliant. I love that. So I love it.
And I think they should keep doing it.
And they should keep doing that until, and now that he's been released, I hope that now that does that contract, that means that they don't have to pay him at all. Does that mean that comes off their books? Is that off their salary?
Yeah, they're not going to have to. Yeah, they're not going to have to pay him anything.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great.
I'll say this with your point. Can I just add to your point and then you go back? I'm sorry. But I reckon they should have kept not paying him. But the issue would be that there's a top 30 spot then that sits there, right? So that he's taking up because he was in their top 30. That I'd like it if they could talk to the NRL and be like, hey, we want him taken out of our top 30. And if he continues to not train with the group or not play, we just continue to not pay him and he has to see out his contract. He signed a contract and he has to meet those requirements for them to pay him, just like they have to pay him if he meets those requirements. Works both ways.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trey.
No. That's, I don't have much else to say.
Adam Wilson, who is the worst player transfer of the season? Which club has lost out the most? Not financially because it didn't cost him much, but goodness me, Josh Schuster's been a horrible play by the Bunnies. Just cannot get on the football field. Hasn't even got into a New South Wales Cup game at the moment, and looks like he's not in the best shape either. So Probably maybe him. I know it wasn't a huge value for money signing, but it's not ideal. Like they probably could have got another youngster and things like that. So, anyone else point out to you so far? I think it's only 2 weeks in, so it's hard to say anything. But
I can't even think of who else sort of switched across. I'd probably have to say Schuster too because they haven't got any value for him at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good shout here by Josh Henne to replace him. That's Todd Payton, former Cowboy, and that's not a bad shout actually. I could see that happening. I want to quickly touch on this one. This might round out the show. How long till BA joins the Knights? That's obviously our big prediction last week. I made that big one, and that post I put out actually went gangbusters, and there's so many comments saying this, and I laugh at it every time. Yeah, but BA and what's him called it, but buddy Knights, Adam O'Brien are best mates. It won't happen. Do you think it's the coaches' decisions to do this sort of stuff? Like, if the club's not happy, they'll be talking behind the back. Managers will get involved. They smell blood in the water. They act. They don't care about who's mates. Like, everyone in the game are mates. There's so many coaches in that are mates, and they backstab each other. If Brad Arthur wants to come back and coach in the NRL, in Australia, be back with family and stuff, that'll happen. Like, whether they're mates or not, they'll still be mates. Being mates has absolutely nothing to do with BA ending up as the Knights coach. If it does happen, who knows? The Knights have started well. We won't deny that. And he's made a good decision where Fletcher Sharp is the 5'8". I just think it's funny. There's still comments were coming in. I had a notification before. Someone said it again in that post. It doesn't matter. There's so many mates that get one-upped by their managers and things like that. So, boys, anything to add?
I think the way that the Knights have gone, I think it's going to be a tough firing. They need to really stop. Like that they could potentially go up this week. They're favourites going into the Titans this weekend. Win that, they go into a bye. They'll be 3-0 by round 5. Then they've got a tough one against the Bulldogs. Then they play the Tigers. They've got a tough one against the Sharks. Then they play the Warriors. And then they play the Rabbitohs, and then they play the Titans by round 10. Potentially, they've only lost 2 or 3 games. They'll be, 6-3, 7-3. That'll be a tough firing by round 10, is what a lot of people are predicting and where it is. So, yeah, I want that to be. And then to be fair, they've got the Eels in round 11. So, I just can't see it the way that they're going at the moment of how that's going to work. And we've got to sort of eat our words a little bit here and say that, the Knights have turned it on early days.
Well done, Adam O'Brien. Odds on Lomax being back on the wing before round 10, probably $1.10 at this stage. Final one to wrap up the show. It was Mark Brown. I love this one. What's with para mascots? Who has we've already spoken about the first point. We actually did that a bit earlier, sort of thing. A lot of comments about these mascots. I don't know what they were, who they are, what they're doing. Apparently, Sparky and Sparkles are back this week after some fans have absolutely threatened to burn down the stadium after what they saw in the week. And that was Avatar bloody, I don't know what it was. It just wasn't right. But yeah, I think it was a one-off thing. I think it was something to do with the kids, Para Plus thing or something, kids club, I don't know. But yeah, it didn't go down well, and it wasn't communicated well at all by the club. It left a lot of fans thinking what was going on here. But that's it, boys. That is it. What a show. Brilliant stuff. Thanks to everyone getting involved. Once again, the comments are flying in, so I really do appreciate that. Jade Owen, you are getting a cooler as well. You have been fantastic all episode. Really do appreciate it. So make sure you message the page, and we'll get that cooler out for you by the end of the week. So, Jake, thank you. Thanks for your shift this week.
You're right, mate. It's not easy doing what I do, but someone's got to do it.
Oh, here we go. His head's getting bigger and bigger. It won't fit in the screen next week. Trav, back tomorrow night. Go and get some rest because I feel like we're going to need it because no word of a lie, guys. And we're going to get some questions going for tomorrow night. So if you're a super coach, you want to get your questions in, it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, it's going to be. Hey, I just want to go a little bit off track, but that comment from Hillbilly, around the trade system. That's one that we need to keep in the memory bank, because it's one that we have been talking amongst ourselves in the backgrounds around a bit of a podcast. So Hillbilly, we've heard it, we see it. It's definitely something we want to talk about in some sort of show in some way. So yeah, and comment of the night. Can I just be fair? Can I give the comment of the night to Shannon's comment about being a dad is like licking a shopping trolley's. That's comment of the night.
Good. That was good, Shannon. That was very good.
Yeah,
Feel
had a
my
good
pain,
laugh.
please. I've battled on all night. I was any other time I probably would have said the show's not happening, but I love and appreciate everyone. The page that's growing, I have to push through. So hopefully sounded okay. Quality was there, and we'll be there. Hopefully rested up, ready for tomorrow night. Thanks, guys. Good night. Enjoy the show. Like it still. Do all that sort of stuff. Share all that sort of stuff. Tell your mates about us. We'll tune in and see you next Tuesday. Bye.